Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me here on Nerd News Clips. This is the second channel. This is the place for all of the short-form content as well as the individual sections and just generally speaking smaller things. If you are into the longer form content, youtube.com/generallynerdy is the place to go see that. With that out of the way, let's get into this. All right, gaming and tech is where we go next. Gaming and tech is actually kind of small this week because, I mean, there were some techie things that happened, but nothing that was really newsworthy in that, like, we already know all of the things. We've talked previously, and now it's just kind of things are finally rolling out. So that kind of is what it is. But we do have a little bit of that just happened to get through. I finally got onto Overwatch 2. So I realized last week Overwatch 2 was our suggestion, and that was before I knew that there were a lot of issues, not just with the whole, phone numbers situation and all that, which kind of has been eased up if you are a legacy player. That is what it is. But there were a bunch of server issues as well, where people had wait times of like a week before they were going to be able to get onto a game. That didn't last super long, but it did last a couple of days where they were just having wicked server issues. You couldn't connect to games. You couldn't connect to really anything. Now it seems to be up and running. I believe I've seen that there are still some bugs in the system, but by and large, you should have a pretty flawless experience. I have played a number of times since we spoke last, and yeah, I'm digging it. This is my first experience, like first-hand experience with Overwatch, and this almost scratches the itch I wanted it to scratch. I feel like as I get a little more accustomed to this game, it's going to feel a little more natural to me. Because again, my FPS of choice is Halo, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. But there are some heroes that feel like you could be playing Master Chief. Like, the control scheme has minor variations, so that takes a little getting used to. But by and large, there's a hero for everybody, it would seem. I'm digging it. I'm digging it a lot. What do you think about Overwatch 2? How do you feel the launch has been handled, since they did have those issues to begin with? But let's have that conversation down in the comment section. Now, that is what just happened. We do have a couple of follow-ups to get out of the way. So first and foremost, Mortal Kombat, we were talking about this. We've been waiting because it was the 30th anniversary over the weekend, the day after the live show. And so what was the announcement? At New York Comic Con, they announced that there is going to be another animated Mortal Kombat movie. And that's kind of it. I think epic was a little bit of an incorrect word, Mr. Ed Boon, but I love you anyway. So new Mortal Kombat animated movie. I saw somewhere where they said that it was going to be called Cage Fight, i.e. focusing on Johnny Cage. I think that was just wishful thinking from somebody in the community, because I was unable to verify that that was the name. I don't know if a name was announced, but again, we will keep tabs and follow up, because that's kind of one of the biggest ones that we talk about here on the channel. So yeah, that's what we've got for Mortal Kombat. Next is Square Enix Montreal. Square Enix? I guess it doesn't really matter because they're changing their name. Not Square Enix, the parent company, just the Montreal branch. Because if you remember, they got bought out by Embracer Group a couple months ago, because Embracer Group was buying as many studios as they could, and Square Enix Montreal was one of them. They are now going to be called Studio Onoma. And I don't know that there's no gaming announcements coming from them just yet, because they just changed the name, just got purchased by Embracer Group. So we will definitely see what they do in the future, but that's our follow-up. Let's get to the final one, and that is the Xbox Keystone. Phil Spencer definitely kind of sort of leaked out what the Keystone looks like. If you follow him on the Twitters, then you saw that he tweeted out a photo of a shelving situation in his office. I don't remember exactly why he was tweeting this, but on that shelf was what looked like a very small Xbox Series console. Looked like it was about half the size of a proper Xbox Series S or S. And yeah, so apparently shortly thereafter, the official Xbox Live Twitter account confirmed that that was, in fact, the project they've been working on. They actually dropped it for a little while. It's for those that don't remember, Keystone is the code name for Xbox's cloud gaming console. Apparently, it is going to be a physical console, kind of like an Android box. If you've seen those, there's plenty of YouTube channels talking about how to build your own Android box or Raspberry Pi box. It's going to be something along those lines, but with the Xbox branding and all of the software and stuff that comes along with that. This will be kind of effectively a smaller version of the Series S. And we don't know any details just yet, but we do know that it's a real thing, and we do know that they've been working on it again since about February is when they picked back up with the development of this console. So as more comes out, we will talk about it. Let's move into regular-ass news, and this week we only have one piece of regular-ass news, and it's kind of uneventful. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is apparently going to be adapting the Overwatch approach to keeping people honest, and by that I mean phone number verification. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is an Activision released title, and Activision and Blizzard are the same company, so it makes sense that this would be the direction that they would go for that as well. And that's all we got. That's the only news. So let's move into gaming and tech suggestions. We're going gaming this week, and that is Friday the 13th, the game. Might be a little hard to play because of the state of that game as it is, but I'm pretty sure everything is still basically functional. But the premise of the game is you have 4v1. You have 4 people playing kids or counselors, and then 1 person playing Jason. So if you play Jason, your job is to kill the counselors, and there's different variations of Jason. And if you play as the counselors, then your job is to, I believe, just escape from Camp Crystal Lake. So pretty unique multiplayer idea. This company that created the game is going on to other great things. They have a Ghostbusters game in development. They have that Killer Clowns from Outer Space game in development that are all based on a similar multiplayer concept. So yes, please, and thank you. If you have the ability, probably a great idea to go play some Friday the 13th, the game. Once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.